Attention, due to the nature of the films discussed, the Civil Gore podcast may contain adult language and themes.
Yo, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Civil Gore. This is your host, Tim.
This is Brian.
And, we decided, we're gonna talk in our normal accents for a change.
Yeah, you know, the charade is up. I mean, we thought we'd get away with it for a couple of episodes at least, and we took it pretty much to episode 7 here, but about time we change it up and go back to our actual voices.
Yeah, so to let you know a little secret, Tim, I'm not actually from North Carolina, I'm from New York.
And I'm down there from Wilmington.
So, yeah, sorry we led you on for 7 or 8 episodes, but, well, these are our real voices, and this is how we're going to be from here on out.
Yes, I hope you guys still like us. I mean, I know we put a little ruse on you there, but, you know, we wanted to make it a little bit interesting for you.
All right, okay, enough of the bad accents. You know this is April Fool's.
Yes, that was our April Fool's joke. I'll go back to my obnoxious New York accent that I'm sure you've all been listening to like nails on a chalkboard there.
And I'll be going back to my dulcet tones.
Yes, Tim's dulcet tones.
When I listen to my voice on here, I don't feel like I have an accent in real life, and then when I listen to myself on here, I sound like I'm from Alabama or somewhere like deep south.
Yeah, and I realize how many times I just sound like I've just learned to speak English. I mean,
I'm from a beach town, and we really don't have as strong a southern accent as a lot of the rural areas around us. So when I hear myself on the podcast, I'm kind of surprised because I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I always think you sound great on there, and I have this roughness to me where I have no couth. I'm just all like saying things, and it's probably partly because I mean I do have actually not only do I have a New York accent, but I have what they call a Long Island accent, and I did live in California for a while, so there's a little bit of that muddled in there. So I'm just a mishmash of disaster in terms of accents there.
Well, I love it because I don't like podcasts where you can't tell the hosts from one another, and you can't tell their voices apart. And we don't have that problem.
No, definitely not. You definitely do not have that issue.
So let's get right into it. We have a packed show today.
That's becoming a trend, by the way. These packed shows, no matter what we do.
Yeah, we were originally going to make this a mini-sode, like a 30-minute or a 45-minute. I don't think it's going to happen, though.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely not this one. I don't think it's gonna be the case today. But
anyway, we'll make it work.
Yes. And so, and just because, to keep in tradition, since this is episode 7, this would be Civil Gore, A New Blood. Or The New Blood, sorry, The New Blood.
Yeah, and it kind of is The New Blood, because we're going to switch the format up just a tad.
Yes, just a little bit.
We're actually not covering a movie this episode, but instead we're going to do a recap of the Mad Monster Party convention I attended this past weekend. So, let's get right into our first chop.
Yes, and this is a good one.
Yeah, this is a really good one. So the It trailer for the remake of It dropped today, but I want to save that one for the end.
Yes.
Brian, if you want to go through the stuff you watched.
Yes. So I on Saturday, I was pretty much used it as a kind of a relaxation day where I wasn't going to do anything but just watch movies and chill on the couch. My wife was away on a work trip, so pretty much had the house to myself. So, I ordered in pizza and just laid around and vegged. And so I took the opportunity to watch a couple of horror movies. So, I mean, I saw a couple that I had seen before. Like, I think I watched Rob Zombie's Halloween and Scream Park, just because they were around there. And I watched some episodes of Holliston, Adam Green's sitcom. But the main 2 things I watched that I wanted to talk about was, one was called, I picked this up because it had kind of like a quote on the box. It's in one of the best horror films of the year, and it was called The Eyes of My Mother. And just from the box, I couldn't really tell what it was about. It just kind of had this little, it was a creepy box, and it turned out it was actually shot in black and white. The quote on the box, like I said, the quote on the box is one of the best horror films of the year, so I figured I gotta check this thing out. It's pretty cheap at Best Buy, so when I picked it up. And it's basically about a young girl who find out is pretty much unfazed by death due to her mother, who they established was a surgeon in Portugal. And she basically teaches her anatomy by, showing her that they live on this farm. So it shows her how to do like kind of like take eyes out of cattle and stuff like that. So like I don't know how young this girl is at the time, but so she's learning all these like the pieces of anatomy that way. And basically, so not to go spoil it, but basically a tragedy strikes her family, and her life just heads down this deep, twisted, lonely path. And it's a really weird and disturbing film, but it really held my interest the whole time, and had some cool visuals, and it's definitely something to check out. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about that one.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out. I mean, it's I can see that really being something that Shudder will put on there not too long from now, because it apparently got a lot of mentions on a lot of different horror sites. So it definitely something good to check out. The next thing I saw is something it's funny. It's been on I think Cinemax on demand, and I've had it in my possession. I picked it up a while ago. It was Funhouse Massacre. And as you know, we've mentioned before, Tim and I are big theme park fans. Especially, we love the haunt season at the theme parks. So this basically kind of takes our love of horror movies and love of haunts at theme parks and mushes them together. And it has some horror icons in there. It's got Robert Englund. It's got Clint Howard, who was in Evil Speak. Courtney Gaines, who you might know from Malachi, from Children of the Corn, who is that guy could be in any other things, and I'm always going to call him Malachi. And so basically what this is about, it's about this, I guess, this local fun house, local, I guess, fun park or something, or haunt that they do. They didn't really go into that, but it is because it's kind of got some carnival games in front of it. But anyway, so they have this local haunt, and this year they decide it's themed towards a bunch of these local, like, mental patients and maniac serial killers that have been that are kind of well known in the storyline of this film. But what happens is that the actual crazy people take over the haunt and play themselves in the role. And so people are going in there and they're thinking it's this great haunt, and they're really just getting killed and maimed. And it's such a fun movie. I saw a lot of people that were bashing it, saying, "Oh, the comedy is corny and stuff." But you know what, though? I had a ball watching this thing, and I actually want to watch it again. I had so much fun. I mean, like Robert Englund, small part, but he's Robert Englund. He's great, whatever he does. Jerry Burns, I don't know if you remember him. I think right now he's on Andrew Tribeca, but he used to be in that show Dear John way back in the day. He's creepy as this. He's kind of like the leader of them all. And Clint Howard plays one of his guy is the taxidermist, and so
I love Clint Howard.
Yeah, and he's brilliant in this. I mean, he's like, if you want to rank Clint Howard performances from 1 to 10, this is probably up there. It's like a 12. he's that good in it. But I got to tell you, the scene stealer of this movie was a character called Angel Face, which was played by a relatively newcomer. She was only in a Broadway show, apparently, that I looked up on IMDb, and her name is Candice DeVisser. And she plays this character, Angel Face, who's basically, she was also like the Stitcher killer or something, where she kills people and then stitches their face together in expressions. And so you got to picture the character. The best way to describe this character is if you take Baby from House of a Thousand Corpses and Harley Quinn from Suicide Squad, and that's what you get. And I think she outdoes them both, in all honesty. And both those roles I thought were fantastic, played by the respective actresses. But she's brilliant in this. She's just like, super creepy, hardly says a word through a lot of it, and just all does it by her facial expressions. And it's great. So, and I actually have to say, I borrowed that from, I saw a quote that someone said that they actually tweeted her and said the same thing. They said, like, but they have Baby and Harley Quinn have nothing on you. And so, and it is true. She's great. She steals the movie in her scene. So that's one you definitely need to check that out.
Yeah, I'm going to look that one up this weekend for sure.
Yeah. And I can't wait to hear your reaction to that, because I think you'll love that one.
Now, I didn't get a chance to watch a whole lot of stuff because I was getting ready for this weekend going out of town, but I did watch The Devils. Man, this is one weird movie, but it's absolutely gorgeous. Like, every scene in this movie you could probably take a still from it and make a kick-ass poster out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was when was it? When was it made? Or was it early 70s? I guess.
Yeah, that was 1971.
Right.
Directed by Ken Russell, starring Vanessa Redgrave, Oliver Reed.
Who was awesome, by the way. He was great in that movie.
It's a very artsy movie. It's, you could tell, it was probably big budget for the genre.
Yeah, because while artsy, it had an epic scope feel to it. Like with a lot of big set pieces to it.
Yeah, it kind of felt like one of those old Hollywood epics.
They're like the Ten Commandments, like or something.
The storyline is kind of strange, and I can't say that I completely followed every nuance of it. I'd almost like to watch it again.
Yeah,
I almost want to get this on Blu-ray if it's available, just because of how beautiful it looks.
yeah. I thought I read either there was a maybe I'm mistaken, but I thought there was a Criterion collection, or they were talking about a Criterion collection, and I know that there's been some controversy on this because they're saying that this was the first time they aired the uncut, which it actually isn't. But I think Blumhouse guys, they had a link to the main scene that was cut out, which is pretty graphic scene where the nuns, I guess they kind of like rape a Jesus statue or something. It's pretty. I watched the link to it. It's strange that it was that that Shudder would say, oh, this is the uncut version, and actually it not be. But I mean, maybe that was, maybe there's multiple cuts and this was the best that they could actually piece together. I'm not sure, but I mean, what they showed, there's enough graphic stuff in that I could see why it got some of the the talk that it did.
Yeah, I was surprised I haven't heard of this one, but if you look at the IMDb page, it doesn't even list it as horror. It listed as drama, history, biography, and maybe that's why it kind of was off my radar. But you should definitely, if you haven't seen it, go check it out, because it's just a really fascinating movie. I don't really know how to describe it.
Yeah, it's hard to actually give a true description of it, but better than we have already. But I'll tell you, the one thing that struck me is that one, that one priest that they brought in there that kind of reminded me. I don't know if you guys watch Criminal Minds, but he kind of reminded me of that guy Reed, Spencer Reed. That show. It was Matthew Gray Goobler. He's been in a couple of other movies and stuff. He kind of reminds me of him. He's got with the long hair, and he's kind of.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a gorgeous movie.
Yeah. I actually think I'm gonna watch it again, because I think I think I went into it with a different kind of thought of what it was going to be like than what it was. So I think I want to watch the whole thing now, knowing with no pretenses anymore, that I've seen it now, just can look at it as a movie.
So that's it for the first chop stuff, except for the big news this week, which is the It trailer.
Yes, and that was the benefit. Just normally, so you guys know, a little behind the scenes tidbit here to make up for our awful April Fool's joke in the beginning. We usually try and record on Sunday or Monday night. Due to some conflicts, scheduling and stuff, we actually are recording Wednesday, which couldn't have been a better blessing in disguise, because as Tim mentioned, the It trailer, long awaited It trailer, debuted today, and pretty much I'll let Tim go into this first, but it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I was very impressed. It is actually one of my favorite Stephen King novels, and I read it pretty young. I read it in my early teens, I believe, and I just remember being just completely horrified by it. And then when the miniseries came out, I was all about it, and I actually have not watched the miniseries in many, many years.
Yeah, same here. I need to watch it. I ordered it. Realized I tell you, it's now becoming a problem that I'm buying too many Blu-rays to know exactly what I have anymore. Even though I have an app that tells me, but I could have sworn I had this movie. I did not. So I quickly looked on Amazon this morning and saw that it was a good price for the Blu-ray. It was $9.99, I think. So it's on its way. And
we're going to do an episode on this one for sure.
Yes. We definitely, we think we kind of know when it's going to be. It's probably going to be around end of May, June. And I think we're going to have a couple of guests on that, 'cause some of our good friends there said that, oh, when are you going to review that one? We're going to review that one. So I think we have like 2 or 3 people that want to come on the show and give their 2 cents.
That one will probably be a true 2-parter.
Yes. And basically it comes at a good time, because we'll be on some events in our other passion, coaster events. So that will be the perfect time to come up with a nice, good 2-parter for you guys.
Yeah, but let's talk about the trailer. It had everything I was hoping it would have. Now, what they did for this remake. Now, I've heard from people that have watched the original miniseries recently that there are some aspects of it that are quite dated now. I don't know exactly how, because like I said, I haven't seen it in a while. But I did like the fact that they're updating this so that the children are from the 80s versus in the original where they are from the 50s.
Yes, and speaking of that, did you know, speaking of kids from the 80s, did you notice who was one of the kids in that movie? It was Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things.
Well, I mean, I think that's why I instantly got that vibe of, it instantly gave me that vibe of like Stand By Me and kind of the Goonies and the Stranger Things and that whole 80s Spielberg kids type vibe,
Yes.
which I was hoping would happen by setting this in the 80s. And I really got that feel from it, that they just did a great job casting the kids in this one.
Yeah, and one of our friends, Matt, actually was telling me that he said it looked like from the trailer, I guess he saw some scenes that weren't in the miniseries, I guess, but that were in the book. So that I guess that's promising for some people that are real big fans of the book.
Yeah, and they have the opportunity now to do stuff with CGI and stuff that they couldn't do back then, and really up the ante in terms of because the original miniseries was televised, right?
Yes, I believe, yeah.
So, this gives them an opportunity to go a little bit more extreme in terms of the horror, and you can already tell Pennywise is far scarier in this one, or appears to be.
Oh yeah, I mean there's that one, I guess, sequence where he's moving like at super speed or quick back and forth, which just looks really creepy.
Not to take anything away from Tim Curry's performance, because that was.
Yeah, you can really rarely take anything away from Tim Curry. He's brilliant in whatever he does. So.
But it's a different time now, and it's a movie that I think it's not a bad idea for a remake. There's nothing about the miniseries that I held so sacred that I didn't feel like it couldn't benefit from a remake. Just because, like you said, some of the scenes that weren't in the original miniseries, the fact that the time period of the 50s now, a lot of people can't identify with that in terms of childhood, but you set it in with kids being in the 80s. Now all of a sudden you got this whole generation that can kind of sympathize with the adult characters and their childhood.
Right, and whether it was intentional or not, but with the huge popularity of Stranger Things, could you have not had a better time to release this? And I believe, when does this come out? Is it September or October it comes out? I think it comes right around when Stranger Things Season 2 comes out.
Yeah, it comes out September 8th.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So 2 months for him. But, yeah. So, I'm really looking forward to that. And that would be, you know what we should do? Oh, no. You know what, though? It's going to come out way too early. I was almost hoping it would be pushed back a little bit to October. We could have timed it with our fall meetup there. Maybe all gone to see it or something. But
I don't know. Anyway, it looks, even the way it's shot looks really good. Like the sequence where the kid is chasing the paper boat down the street. The famous, where Pennywise first appears in the sewer. I mean, all that just looked gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. And then how the way the boat's just like the little paper boats sailing down the puddle, I guess, of the street. And
just looked really, really cool. I'm very much looking forward to this one.
Yeah, and it was funny. Like, so, watching, I knew that the trailer was debuting today. So, and so when I checked this morning, I hadn't found it yet. So, that's what made me think. I said, "Oh, you know what? I probably should try and watch the original one again as soon as I can, because I don't remember it as well as I should." And so that's when I realized I didn't have it. So this was all a big blessing in disguise, the way our delay happened. So, which is good. So this should be a really really fun movie. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it won't be the last time you hear about this movie on our podcast, because I'm sure we'll be keeping tabs on the development and any new trailers that come along.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So let's get into the dismemberment for April 4th, and got kind of a fairly packed list, even though there's nothing, high profile here. We have The Institute, which I believe we talked about on a previous episode. That's the James Franco.
Oh, right. Yes.
This one, I'm actually considering picking this one up. It's called Psycho Circus, and that's just the name for the set. This is a 3-film set, and what it includes is a movie called The Creeping Flesh, 1973, with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing.
Oh, I think did we mention this one on the show once? I think we were talking about Peter Cushing, and we might have mentioned this movie quickly.
Maybe. It also includes Brotherhood of Satan from 1971. And this is the one I was really excited about. Torture Garden, 1967, starring Jack Palance and our friend Burgess Meredith. Oh. It's an anthology on top of all that.
It's an anthology, Rock!
It's an anthology.
Oh, well, that, yeah, and you guys, we don't need to tell you how Tim and I are suckers for a good anthology.
And we haven't even covered one yet.
Yeah, I think that might be something we need to remedy maybe our next episode. And actually, that's just to slightly go off a topic with that, but in the local area, they actually have a double feature, which I'm going to try and get tickets for, see if I can see. They had tickets as of last night, but I'm going to check again today, where they're showing the original Creep Show and Black Sabbath as a double feature. At near me, there's this place, the Huntington Arts Center, and this revival thing group called the Retro Picture Show. They are showing that they're presenting that, and so that's something that I definitely want to check out. I think it's like $22. So you get both films. So
I would be all over that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna look into that, and so if I get that, I'll definitely report back on that because it's the full like original prints and stuff. So that's gonna be pretty cool.
Up next, we have Invasion of the Bee Girls, 1973. This one seemed like they turn into like Queen Bee and they kill men with their sexuality or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting.
We Go On from 2016. Now this one's I believe is available on Shudder.
Oh yes, you're right. I think I saw that. I didn't give it a look over yet, but it sounded interesting. Yeah,
it's supposed to be really good. So I will definitely get to that one sooner rather than later. It's on my wish list. Then we had this one. This is a thriller triple feature, one of those 3-packs. And this one looked kind of lame. It's really a bunch of thrillers more than horror. There's one called Wind Chill from 2007 with Emily Blunt.
I like Emily Blunt, though. So
yeah, I like Emily Blunt. I've just never heard of that movie. One called Closure and one called Perfect Stranger.
So is that Mark Lynn Baker and Bronson Pinchot in that movie?
I don't know. That would be awesome. Yeah. But here's the problem. Those titles are so generic. When I tried to pull them up on IMDb to see which ones were included in the pack, I couldn't even tell.
Oh my god. Yeah, and you probably looked it up and like Ashton Kutcher came out instead of Ashton Holmes.
When I looked it up, I after about 5 minutes, I was like, you know what? I really don't care enough to continue. So yeah, pass on that one. And then one called, I'm kind of interested. Brian, this one's got kind of cool box art. It's called Don't Kill It, and it's got Dolph Lundgren on it. So,
well, I still want to see that one. He's on. I think it's on Netflix though. It's where I guess he's fighting a killer shark in Lake Tahoe or something, and it stars Dolph Lundgren. I gotta check that one out because that's I don't know, Dolph Lundgren, killer shark, Lake Tahoe.
I say cool box art. It's not really cool, but it's got Dolph Lundgren carrying a gun that looks like it shoots I don't know what those are, like they look like Nerf arrows. Maybe that's how he doesn't kill. Right. He hits them with Nerf arrows.
Maybe it's all a simulation. He's just going around playing Nerf guns. But it would be better if he was on the box art, trying to crush the Titanic, fighting a giant reptile, killing a helicopter like the Ape 3D.
Anyway, I'm a sucker for cheesy stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I'm there with you.
The only theatrical release we had for March 31st, I'm pretty sure, is just a limited release. It's called Here Alone, and I believe it was actually finished last year, but stars Lucy Walters, Gina Piersanti, and it's directed by Rod Blackhurst, and one of the only things I saw that he's done is the Amanda Knox documentary on Netflix.
Oh, I heard that was good.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed that documentary, but I don't know much about that one. But again, that's just a limited release, so nothing really major coming out of the theaters this week.
As long as Here Alone doesn't have the box art of someone putting their hands up to their face in a screaming position, we'll be okay.
Starring Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah. Hey, I'm sure he's available.
So before we get into our deep cut, which is the Mad Monster Party recap, I did remember our trivia question. So the trivia question for last week was, what is the brand of the ice cream or the ice cream truck from Maximum Overdrive. And it was kind of funny because you see the truck in the movie several times, but I never caught the name. Although Kevin, our super fan, he knew it right away. And the answer is Mighty Tasty.
Yes. And it's spelled. We have to say how it's spelled on there.
Yeah, so it's spelled MY-T TAS-T.
Yes.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's a good one, Kevin Wilson. And thank you again, by the way, for being a guest. That was a great episode.
Yeah, great episode. I enjoyed it. Even enjoyed the editing of that one. That was really, really fun. So I guess we'll now get into our deep cut. And lots to talk about here. And Brian, feel free to chime in with your convention experience because you've got a lot more than I have. But I attended the Mad Monster Party Carolinas 2017. It was held in Rock Hill, South Carolina. This is a convention I've been wanting to get to for the past couple years. I just never made it up there. But this year it happened to fall on the same weekend as opening weekend of Carowinds, so I figured that'd be a great time to go see the theme park and catch a horror convention all at the same time.
That's like a dream weekend basically for you and Kev.
And so we went to Carowinds all day on Saturday, and then being the good coaster nerds we are, we also went back Sunday for the gate opening so we could ride Fury and Intimidator a few more times before the convention.
I don't think anyone who's been on those two could blame you for that.
So then we headed over. We actually met my dad over there. My dad's he's actually a big horror fan. He just a little bit about my dad. You can kind of get where I got my horror fanaticism from. He holds his birthday is October 15th, so he holds a big Halloween/birthday party every year, and invites a lot of people and has a bunch of Halloween props. For several years, he had a haunted trail back in the woods, a hayride.
Oh, wow.
He usually has a band. He's always, for his birthday every year, I get him a Halloween prop from the Halloween store, like an animatronic or something, just because he loves that stuff so
and
much.
You know what you should get him this year if he doesn't have it? Remember that thing we saw at Knoebels, that projection system against the tent, where it looked like the zombies were kind of crawling out of the tent?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think it's called Atmosphere FX. Like, it's a play on the way the Atmosphere X. And I think you can get, I've seen it as cheap as, like, I think around $99 for the basic starter set of this thing. And it comes with just, like, this projector and I think 12 different images. And you could buy themes. They have themes for different holidays, but I think the core pack comes with the horror one.
Awesome. Yeah, I might do that. I got him, like, one year I got him the big jumping spider that jumps at you when you it's on an arm, and then it springs out at you when you get near it.
I tell you, I'm thinking live, or at least live reports from that for this upcoming season.
Absolutely. And last year we went to the they have a big haunted haunt that's actually held in the woods, and it's the longest running, I believe it's the longest running haunt in North Carolina, and it's just a few blocks down from his place. And we went last year, and it was phenomenal. So
nice.
if we go back this year, we're definitely going to hit it. So.
Yeah, and I just a little spoiler alert there. During October, there's going to be probably a lot of talk about all the haunts that we visit, because I already have a couple ideas that I'm going to do, and I know Tim visits a few routine ones. So we'll definitely when we get down there for get to October, I'm sure we'll have plenty of extra content for you.
Yep. So we got to the convention, and it's not a huge convention, probably definitely not by your standards, Brian, because a lot of yours are up north, but we just don't get a lot of conventions down here in the South. Usually if you do, they're in the bigger cities, so I don't really have a lot of convention experience. We had one in Wilmington a few years ago that was like a big pop culture convention that they were trying to start here, and it just flopped miserably. Nobody showed up.
And that's crazy with all that filming history there.
You would think, and it's a college town too. You would think you would have like young people that wanted to come out and see it, but man, we were like the only. Kevin and I went, and we had a blast because we could just walk up to the celebrities because there was no lines for anything. Oh. But I mean, I'm sure the promoters lost their shirts on that one, so it never came back.
Yeah, you guys have to make it up our way sometime, and around one of the times, because that chiller one that I'm going to in a couple weeks, they used to have it actually 3 times a year, but now they have it twice. They usually have it in April and October, and there's a couple of other ones that are in other parts of New Jersey and Philadelphia area in driving distance that have really. I think one of them is Monster Con or something, or that was the one you went to. Oh no, Mad Monster Park. Yeah, this one's like Monster Con or something, and that one has like Robert Englund's at there, and they have like primo guests at some of those. So I got to check one of those out one time. So maybe we'll have to time it when you guys come down.
Yeah, that would be great. So we got. I mean, this one was not very large. You could probably walk through the whole thing in an hour and a half, if you really wanted to. Obviously we spent a little more time there because we stopped and talked to people and looked at all the vendors and things. But it wasn't large by any means, but it was still a lot of fun. And what I wanted to go through is some of the cool vendors first, because I'll save the celebrities towards the end. But I wanted to point out some of the cool vendors because there were some really neat things there. And if I had more money, I would have gone hog wild, and my wife would have probably killed me because I saw a lot of stuff I wanted to buy.
Especially, and little does she know what we're bidding on currently, both of us, which we'll leave for a surprise to see if we win it.
Yeah. So I'm going to put links to all these guys in our show notes so that you can go out and check them out. But I just wanted to point out some of them. Now, you had the standard, T-shirt vendors and that kind of thing, and the guys that sold VHS tapes and stuff. So I didn't really point those out because I was kind of going for the more unique items. The first one I wanted to point out was called Scariosities.
I love the spelling of that, by the way. The way that's spelled.
Skeriosities. But this lady made these dolls, and I don't know if Brian, if you've ever seen the Monster High dolls.
Oh, with like the big heads, kind of.
Yeah.
I just got those for my niece. They for her birthday. They were like the Franken something, right? There's like some of their names or something. Yeah.
They're all supposed to be like daughters of the famous horror monsters.
Right. That's what it is. That was the gimmick. Yeah.
My daughter loves those. But these are basically a similar style to that, but they're really high end. Like, I believe the cheapest ones were about $150.
Ooh.
But they were just so cool looking. They had one that was a slave Leia.
Oh, that's awesome.
They had an Elvira. You have to go check out their website because they had all kinds of really, really neat ones. If they weren't so expensive, I would have been very tempted to get my daughter one just to like start her like a really, really high end, nice doll collection. But these were definitely not to play with though. These were display only.
Yeah, I saw your list and I went through one of them, the one with the artwork guy. But yeah, I haven't got to see the rest of them yet, so I'll look through that after the show.
The second one that came out was called Clay Guy, and he made these clay figures of famous horror movie characters, and he had dozens of them of all kind, like every character you can imagine.
Did he have the Manitou?
I don't think he had Manitou. I should have asked him.
Maybe he'll custom make one.
And it doesn't take a lot of clay to make.
No, he looked like clay anyway. Really.
But this guy, they were incredibly detailed to be made out of clay. I mean, when you think clay, you're thinking like a cheap Play-Doh looking thing. No, these looked really, really nice and really detailed. So go check those out when you see the link for the Clay Guy. There was another guy named Primo, or I don't know if it was the guy's name or if this is just the name of his shop, but Primo Cardinali. And these were, I thought Kevin would absolutely go crazy.
I was just going to say, I saw the Color for Sideshow circuit, and I'm like, that's Kevin.
Yeah, so imagine like a sideshow banner, but of famous horror movie icons. Like he had one of Chop Top from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Oh, that's cool.
They're just the real, like, bright. I mean, you didn't see any black. It was all bright colors of all these famous horror movie icons. It was really neat.
Now, tell me that would not be great for a home haunt room where you go in and you put a little black light on it and have that all.
Yeah, they were really, really cool. The other one of the guys was Doug Hops, and he makes this amazing original horror artwork, and you need to go out to his website and look at some of these. Now, the original paintings were very, very expensive, and rightly so. But just real dark subject matter, skulls and things, and they just have this really, really cool look to them, and I loved them. I actually went up and spoke to him because I was just so impressed with his work. And he also had some really neat drawings that were very complex, and some prints and stuff for sale. And I'm not usually into original artwork so much, but if it's not, based off of an icon or something, but these were all original creations. I really, really liked them. So go check his out. And then another guy that was selling original artwork was All City Studios. And these were really colorful pop culture art. They weren't all horror. Like he had one that was Muppets and, I can't even remember all the different themes he had. But they're super bright and colorful, and a really nice guy. He was, really friendly, talking to everybody that came up, and I really enjoyed looking at his stuff. So go look at those on the website.
Oh, cool.
And then here's one for our buddy Mike at Coaster Radio. There was
Ding.
a guy, ding, called Horror in Clay, and he made horror-themed tiki items.
Oh, that's right up Mike's alley.
Yeah, so they had all these like tiki mugs with a little bit of a horror twist to them. And looking at them, you wouldn't immediately think horror. But when you took a closer look, you could see there was a lot of Lovecraftian type elements to them, tentacles and, Cthulhu type things to them. And I went by his booth several times just looking at them. And I may have picked up a little something for Mike while I was there.
So, Mike, if you're listening, you didn't hear it in case there's a surprise coming your way.
For his upcoming tiki bar. But really, really neat stuff. And that stuff's really hot right now. So I'm sure that guy was doing well. And then probably one of my favorite vendors at the convention was named Michael, and I'm sorry if I murder this name, Michael Kulik Artworks. And he does a lot of different things. If you look at his website, he's got drawings and paintings and things. But one of his signature items he makes are these splatter art posters of various horror movie icons. And he also does a lot of rock and roll icons too. But of course, this show, he had all his horror stuff out. Really, really awesome. The one I wanted so bad, he had right there on his table, was Michael Myers. And there's like blood coming out of the eye socket.
Oh, this is the one you had me go to that day, right? And look,
amazing. He uses really thin, I was looking on his website, he uses like really thin, turpentine thinned paint, and he does a lot of like splatter stuff to it. So obviously each piece is unique because of the splatter stuff. But I don't know, there was something about the aesthetic of it. I just absolutely loved it. And I even emailed him when I got back to town, and just to tell him how much I enjoyed his some of those pieces. And in fact, he had some of Captain Spaulding from House of a Thousand Corpses that he had Sid Haig sign.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, because as you'll get to, Sid Haig was there.
Yeah, definitely go click on his link and look at some of those because they were amazing. If I run across him again, I think he's going to be in Myrtle Beach for XCon.
Oh, okay.
Which is later this year, and I'm almost tempted to go run down there just to get one of those pieces.
Yeah, and I'm gonna keep an eye out. I'll keep I mean, I don't know. For that Chiller show, they don't always list all the vendors. Because I know every time I try and look, I'm always surprised by certain ones. So I'm gonna keep this list with me that day and just kind of keep an eye out for if any of these guys happen to be here. Because ChillerCon is pretty big, so these guys could be there. I mean, as Tim and I were looking through the list, we did see some similarities of guests, so it could be there.
So let's get into the celebrities now, Brian. I wanted to talk about this briefly because I wanted to see where you stand on this. There's some controversy over conventions, and there's some people that think celebrities shouldn't be charging for autographs, or they're charging too much for autographs. And then you have the other side that says, well, they can do whatever they want if people are willing to pay for it. I was kind of curious how you fall on that, being that you go to a lot more conventions than I do.
Yeah, I mean, and I've paid upwards. I think the most I paid for a celebrity, it was a picture and an autograph, I think it was $50. But I mean, sometimes usually I try and average around 20, 25, maybe 30. But the way I look at it is they don't have to be there. They're taking their time. I mean, if you looked at what they do, I mean, they're taking sometimes 3 full days out of their schedule to, shake hands with fans, take pictures, and I mean, they shouldn't do that for free. And I don't think they get paid by the convention as far as I know, right? I believe in fact, some of them pay, I think, right, to sit there at the table. Some of them, I know the vendors do. I don't know if the celebrities do.
I don't know how it is with every convention, but I do know for a fact that the convention they had here, because I talked to some of them, they did not get paid by the promoters, all their, I mean, they were getting probably their travel and lodging might have been paid, but anything on top of that was what they made from autographs.
Right, and I mean, and if you think about it, why are they giving away stuff for free and their time? I mean, yeah, I mean, I think maybe $100 for an autograph might be excessive, but I mean, going to some Comic-Cons and these conventions before, I know I've had some great interactions. You know, the $20 doesn't just usually get you a signature and then they hand it to you and usher you on your way. I mean, I remember one of a friend of mine, my friend Steve and I, were at Comic-Con once, the New York one, and it was right after Heroes came out, I guess, for the first season, and Hayden Panettiere was signing autographs. And it was kind of funny. We started up a conversation with her as she was signing our things, and we were actually trying to walk away, and she almost called us back to continue the conversation. And she just had a full-on back and forth. I mean, you know, and there was times, I think it was Bonnie Peace or P.S. I don't know how to pronounce. I'm probably butchering her name though. She played the young Beru in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, and my friend and I, we were talking to her for a good 20 minutes. You know, just hanging out. You know, we bought a thing. So I've had such a good time in there. I don't have a problem with spending a moderate amount to get an autograph and picture and hanging out a little bit with them. I mean, they're taking the time out of their schedule to meet the fans, and
yeah, that's kind of my view as well, because my thought is, if I could get paid $40 to sign a picture, I would do it in a heartbeat. Right. So they're under, like you said, they're under no obligation to come to these conventions, and you're under no obligation to go to them.
Right.
And I figure that the market will price itself. If somebody's going to go in there and charge $50 for an autograph and nobody comes to their table, then at some point they'll drop their price or they won't come.
Yeah, and sometimes, sometimes some of the cooler guests will do some cool things. Like we were at one of the Chiller one year, and the guy that played Mike TV from Willy Wonka was there. They had kind of had a little Willy Wonka thing. And he, not only did he sign a picture, but he'd also sign a golden ticket to give you too. A replica golden ticket.
Kevin has one of those. We met Mike TV at the convention we did. He was super nice.
Yeah, super nice. And he goes the extra mile, gives you a cool token. So it's why should you expect that for free?
Well, not to mention, they also have to protect what they're giving you. You can turn right around and sell that autograph on eBay. And why should they be giving you that for free?
Right. So
I don't have a problem with them charging money for autographs. Do I wish everybody charged $10? Sure.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. But, I went into this convention with a set budget. I wasn't going to go over that budget, and I didn't go over
it. And that's the key. It's like a casino. Take your budget, walk in there, do not take out your ATM card, and you're good to go.
So I'll go through the guest list and kind of give you my impressions of everybody. And some of these people are regulars on the convention circuit, so you may have actually met some of them as well, Brian. The first guy was, I'm gonna murder this name too, Riku Browning.
That's how I would say it.
He was one of, I think he's the only surviving original creature from the Black Lagoon.
And you have a maybe not so obvious connection to the the creature from the Black Lagoon for any of the Coaster Radio listeners.
If you don't listen to Coaster Radio, I actually won the real design contest, which was to have to create a ride based on a movie. And I based my ride on Creature from the Black Lagoon. And I created a boat/dark ride called Journey to the Black Lagoon that was based on this film. It's absolutely one of my favorite Universal horror movies. And Brian, I always leave every convention with one regret. Now, the first regret I had when I went to my original convention here in Wilmington was I did not buy there was a Night of the Living Dead shadow box that had autographs from everybody. It had a vial of dirt from the cemetery. It had stubs signed by everybody. It was, I believe, John Russo was there. But anyway, they had this thing because nobody was there at the convention. So they had this thing marked down to $60. $60. That's all it was. And I didn't have the cash on me. And I was like, Olivia would kill me. My wife would kill me if I bring this thing home.
I might have broken my rule for that and hit the ATM and gone back for that.
And I regret it. And when I went back to work and I told people, they were like, "You idiot! Like you should have just gone. You should have just done it. You know, who cares? Ask forgiveness later." So that's my biggest regret from this one. My biggest regret from this particular convention was not getting a signed picture from Riku Browning, because that's my favorite Universal horror movie. He had pictures of him in the suit, and to have that, and he's an old guy. I mean, he's in his 80s. You know, when are you gonna get that chance again?
Yeah, well, I'll keep an eye out if he's at any ones near me, and I'll remedy that for you.
Yeah, if you could do that, that would be awesome, because that was and it was just a matter of, you know, I never got back over there. One of those things that just kind of slipped my mind, and you know, you always have one. You gotta leave a con with one regret.
Yeah, I've had many. It's you know, you heard of buyer's remorse at these cons. Sometimes there's lack of buyer's remorse,
or you don't get to talk to or you say something dumb, or I mean, there's all kinds of things. But anyway, we also saw Bill Bryan, who was the guy inside the Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters.
Oh, that's cool. That's such an interesting guest. You know, it's like,
yeah, it was kind of interesting. He actually had some foam. I don't know if they're foam, but some kind of prosthetics from the suit. Like the finger prosthetics or something that he used. I don't know. Interesting guy. John C. Buechler. So this guy, I was really excited to see him, because I didn't realize, when I saw the guest list, I didn't recognize his name. But I had just watched him on the Halloween 4 documentary, because he was the effects designer on Halloween 4.
oh, okay.
He's also the director of Friday the 13th Part 7.
That's why his name sounds familiar to me. And funny, and look at that. This was our episode 7, and we referenced that movie.
And he was an actor in Hatchet and Hatchet 2, which are two of my favorites.
Oh my god, yeah. What we got to do just an Adam Green retrospective day. He is one of my favorite horror directors.
He directed Troll. He directed The Dungeon Master. But he's a very recognizable guy, and so I went up to him and I was like, I didn't know you were going to be here. I was like, I just watched you in the Halloween 4 documentary. And he goes, I didn't embarrass myself, did I? And I said, absolutely not. I was like, you were awesome. And I just talked to him about some of the stuff he done. Super, super nice guy. So I really enjoyed talking to him. We had, I didn't get to talk to Tim Capello. So he's the dude he's the shirtless guy with the saxophone from Lost Boys.
See, I love that description as in your rundown, that's what his credit was.
Yeah, but like you know the guy. They make fun of him on Saturday Night Live all the time. But you know, the typical guy with no shirt, like killing the saxophone, that's that guy. And I didn't know who he was, because I see this guy over there with no shirt on, and he's got a dog collar with spikes around his neck. I'm like, who the hell is that?
So he was in character actually at this thing?
Yeah, he was in character and everything.
Wow.
So I didn't get over to him. He was kind of scary looking. So, but and I'm not. I love Lost Boys, but not, you know. Shirtless guy with saxophone, not high on my list of guests to meet, so I actually didn't get to meet him.
Yeah.
that was one of the few I skipped.
No remorse there.
I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm not talking bad about him at all.
Nothing against him.
No, nothing against him. One of the coolest things, they had a garage.
Oh.
And so in there, they had the original car from Christine, which is absolutely beautiful. Oh my God, it's beautiful. They even had this is another photo op I kind of regret not getting. They had a photo op where you could actually lay under it like it was running you over.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, I had to stay within budget. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's a car. You know, it's not a person.
Yeah.
So, and they had a really cool display where they had a glass case with every edition of Stephen King's novel Christine in it.
Oh, that's cool.
Japanese, I mean, like every country's edition of it, and they had them in this gorgeous display case. And then they had another display case with all the models. I believe it's oh gosh, what is Christine? I believe it's like a 58 Plymouth.
Yeah, I don't know my cars very well.
Yeah, it's a 58 Plymouth Fury. And they had model kits of Christine, and they had die-cast models of 58 Plymouth Furies, and just a really, really neat display. And in the same place, they also had the Munsters coach.
Oh, yeah, you saw that. You had the pictures of that.
Yeah, I have, and you guys have seen the pictures because I posted these on Instagram. And I didn't get as many pictures as I really wanted to, but yeah, you gotta you guys got to remember, I'd been at a theme park the entire previous day. That morning, I was wiped out. I was there with my dad. I was also there with my brother, so we were just kind of all over the place. But the Munsters coach was really, really cool. They had a dummy of Eddie Munster sitting in the back of it.
Oh, that's cool.
But they actually had the real Eddie Munster beside him.
I was going to say, he's at a lot of those conventions.
Yeah. He's a super nice guy. He was super
He
cool.
looks like a cool... And I was a big Munsters fan growing up, so...
He even did the actual Eddie Munster makeup for like the first time in 50 years. They put the Eddie Munster makeup on him with the widow's peak and everything, and he did a photo op for people, which was kind of funny. And they also had a Dragula car, which was a custom built Dragula. I don't know that there's an official Dragula. I don't know what that is, but this was a neat car. I've got pictures of it up on the Instagram that somebody had custom created. And then they had the DeLorean from Back to the Future 2.
And you didn't steal that from Mike and EB?
No. That was awesome. And the lady there working that one was really nice. They had obviously they had the whole setup to donate to the Michael J. Fox Foundation.
Oh, that's good.
For Parkinson's research. So that was a big part of their display. So, but what was neat is my dad went to to throw some money in there because they asked for like a small donation if you're going to take a picture with the car or whatever, which is fine.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you could donate whatever you wanted, $1 or whatever. So my dad went to put some money in. She said, "Sir, please, no, don't put it in there." And he was like, kind of like backed off, like, what's going on? She said, "Put it in Mr. Fusion." So he goes, "Really?" So she goes, "Yeah." So she leads him around to the back of the car, and they actually had a slot in the top of the Mr. Fusion to put the money in, and then it would say something. I couldn't catch what it was saying. But Mr. Fusion, the car would say something to you when you put money in.
It's funny. I was trying to look up while you were talking. I was trying to look up a guest at one of the cons, and it linked to this other one I found in September in New Jersey, where it's Monsters and Robots, and they have that car there with Butch Patrick as well. Yeah, so he's really getting around there.
They also had an Ecto one, which obviously not a movie one is one somebody custom built, but that was also really neat. I got some pictures of that. And so back to the celebrities, we came back in. They had Eugene Clark from Land of the Dead, which you may recognize, and he had some neat bust of his head from the movie, like the zombie bust or whatever, that were really neat. And then this guy, I didn't know this guy, Sky Elobar, from some movie called The Greasy Strangler.
I know, just that name alone though makes me want to see it because it sounds hilarious.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with the movie or this guy, so I didn't get to talk to him. I'm gonna skip some of these more famous ones, by the way, save those for the end. Tsutomu Kitagawa, who was one of the, I guess he's acted in some of the Godzilla movies, was there. Lynn Lowry from Cat People, Shivers, the original The Crazies, was there. I didn't get a chance to talk to her, though. She was kind of up and around. And I'm trying to go through. We already mentioned Butch Patrick, Eddie Munster. Mark Patton from Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Which one? Was that the main guy in it?
Yeah, he was like the blonde-headed guy.
Oh, okay.
And he would... He did some really good photo ops where you take like a Freddy glove and hold it up to people's necks when he was taking the picture.
Oh, that's cool. See, now like that, when they do little things like that, again, that goes back to our belief that, it's like if they go the extra bit,
Yeah. But he seemed really nice. Pat Priest from the Monsters. I didn't get to see her actually because when I went, I think she was hanging out by the Monsters coach stuff. So the only one I saw over there was...
Those monsters stick together to the end.
Yeah, they stick together. But the only one I saw over there was Butch Patrick, so I missed her. I may have overlooked her. Now, Felisa Rose from Sleepaway Camp was supposed to be there, but I didn't see her. So I don't know if she wasn't listed on the cancellation, so I don't know if maybe she was just there Friday and Saturday.
A lot, I was, being, like you said, I've been to a ton of these things, a lot. That's why I always try and go, for when I'm going to Chiller, Sunday is actually probably the easier day for me to go, but I'm going to go Saturday because I've been on the Sunday, and sometimes a lot of people, they either head out early or they just do Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, so she may have been one of those guests. I was really disappointed because I really, really wanted to meet her. John Russo, of course, which I'd met at her original Con here in Wilmington, and Russ Striner from Night of the Living Dead. He was They're coming to get you, Bob.
Oh, and the lady from there was in it, right, too? Judith O'Dea, I saw, yeah.
Judith O'Dea, super, super nice.
Yeah, I think she's at the one I'm going to, right? I think you said you saw?
Yeah, she was really, really nice. Who else? We had, I'm saving some of these really big names. Michael St. Michael's, again, from the Greasy String. I guess I'm about to watch this movie.
Yeah, it seems like they had a reunion and you didn't know about it, you know?
Mark Steger from... I'm murdering these names, I'm sure. Mark Steger from Stranger Things. He was the guy in the Demogorgon outfit.
Oh, okay. See, that'd be a cool guest at some level because it's one guy you wouldn't think you'd...
Yeah, I swear he looked familiar. Like, I was like, you can't just have been a guy in a costume. Because...
And he said that's all he was?
Well, that's how he was advertised.
Yeah, I'm looking him up now. Oh, I Am Legend, he said he was in.
Yeah, you've seen him before.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I've totally seen this guy. Yeah. Oh, he was in Holidays, too. He was the Bunny Man. And Paranormal Activity. Oh, he played the Toby. That's what we saw him from. Yep, there it is right there. That's where IMDb, having that app on your phone is priceless.
Mark Torgel, Toxic Avenger, and a buddy of my brother's is a huge, huge, huge Toxic Avenger fan. So we got his autograph for Kevin's friend John.
Oh, nice.
And he was really, really nice. Yeah, we got we ended up getting just the Toxic Avenger poster signed instead of like the celebrity pictures. And he was like, yeah, everybody seems to be buying the poster today. I guess they're tired of looking at my ugly face.
Well, you know, and so sometimes I have opted for the poster in some of those things because sometimes if the poster is it's one of those iconic posters, to get the signature on it is pretty cool.
And so then we had like this whole row which was devoted to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Like if you were a Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 fan, you were in hog heaven. You had Carolyn Williams, who is absolutely just as bubbly and outgoing and energetic as she is in the movie. I mean, even in the movie, you can tell she's got some spunk to her.
Yeah, and she's screaming in that movie a lot, too.
She was bouncing around that convention like nobody's... Like, she just was... Yeah, she was all over the place, talking 90 miles an hour.
And she was in, what was it, Tales of Halloween she was in, I believe.
Yeah, she seemed like a really fun person. And we also had, Bill Moseley, who played, of course, Devil's Rejects. He played Otis. And he was Chop Top in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
And he was in, I don't know if you saw another brilliant performance of his, is Repo, the Genetic Opera.
No, I didn't see that.
I have it on, I think I have it on regular DVD. I should just bring that for you, let you borrow that and check that out.
Yeah, he was really popular. And also Bill Johnson, who played Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Oh. I probably should have got Bill Johnson's autograph only because I also have Gunnar Hansen's autograph.
Oh yeah, that would have been a nice little thing.
That would have been two Leatherfaces, but just didn't get over there to do that. And at the time, I was running out of budget quickly. And also they had I don't know if you remember Nubbins.
Yes, yeah.
So they had the actual Nubbins there, and along with the chainsaw that says the saw is family engraved on it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was really, really neat. I wish I'd got some pictures of it, but I was kind of afraid too because I didn't know what they were letting you take pictures of and what they weren't, so I didn't get pictures of it. But they had a whole booth set up with Nubbins and Texas Chainsaw Massacre props and stuff.
Yeah, it was better to err on the side of caution. I've gotten some. I used to go around the conventions with video cameras sometimes, which they don't say say flat out don't bring it, but I can tell some of the people did not like it. Like of all people, I got a major stare down one time from Taylor Dane, who was at one of the conventions, and she just looked at me with she was like, turn that thing off immediately. And I was like, oh, okay, all right.
They had a whole booth dedicated to Nubbins, and so I was like, I don't want to take pictures and they're expecting you to pay for it and all that stuff. So I just kind of looked at them. I looked at it quite a bit. I passed by it a few times because I just watched the movie last week in preparation for this convention. So now some of the bigger names. Of course, we went to see Sid Haig. I got his autograph. Of course, he's Captain Spaulding in House of Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects. I don't know what kind of health he is in now these days, because he seemed pretty laid back and but man, super nice. He charged the cheapest of any autograph there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he would if you got something signed on your like something you brought. He only charged $10.
Yeah, see, some of them do. Yeah, some of them you can bring stuff. There's been cons I've been to where they will not sign anything that you brought. It will be only their stuff.
Right, but he seemed like I swear I saw some times where people just even kind of just forgot to pay him and had to go back. Like, oh, I forgot to pay you, and he didn't even say anything. You know, he was kind of like, I don't think he really was in it for the money or anything. He was just there to meet people, and really, really nice. In fact, he would let you just take a photo for free.
Oh, wow.
If you just want to sit down and take a picture, he would let you do that for free. I didn't do that. I went ahead and got his autograph just because I felt bad. I was like, I'm not going to get it, like, take a free picture. Like, I want to give him something for his time. And, yeah, he had a Captain Spaulding shirt on. So I got a really, really cool picture of Captain Spaulding with his autograph.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a great picture.
So he was one of my favorite celebrities there. And then the big one I really wanted to meet was Kane Hodder. Because I love Friday the 13th and Hatchet.
Yeah.
Also because he just seems like such a cool guy, even when you see him on, I've watched him on tons of horror documentaries and shows. And
watch his stint on Holliston that he did. Adam Green's sitcom. It is brilliant. He does like a 3-episode arc where he plays himself and he keeps having these suicidal thoughts when anyone mentions that he got recast from Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah, he is amazing. Like, out of any guest at this convention, now you got to imagine this thing had been running Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we're towards the tail end of it on Sunday. And this guy acted like he had just gotten there. He was jumping around, joking with people, just laughing, cutting up, and seemed like he was having the time of his life. Some of these guys were like sitting back on their cell phones, bored to tears. Yeah. He was just having a ball.
Yeah, that tends to happen. Yeah, and I had met him once too. He is great.
Yeah, so they had brought out cakes for all the celebrities, I guess, like, to celebrate the end of the convention or whatever. So they brought out these little cakes for everybody. And he took his machete and, like, Jason chopped it.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I wish you would have got that on video.
Yeah, I know. Cake flew everywhere, and everybody was dying laughing. He just smashed it with his machete because he was selling machetes.
See, and you gotta love an actor like that who's become such an icon, and they embrace the role that they're known for like that. And another movie you got to see with him if you haven't seen it is Muck. It's just really good too.
Oh, I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's kind of definitely an 80s style slashery type movie.
Yeah, but I ended up not getting his autograph only because I was running out of budget at this point, and because he charged very little for a picture. So I was like, I'd rather have the picture anyway. I probably should have got the autograph in hindsight, but I really just wanted the picture And so, of course, I got the one you saw on the Instagram site where he's choking me.
Yeah, that's a great pic.
I'm not lying. He was really choking me.
Oh, yeah. I shook his hand, and I was like a vice grip.
Yeah, that dude is strong.
He is.
Like, I was like, all I could think of while I was getting the picture taken was he could literally snap my neck in half right now, and there's nothing I could do about it. Like, I could really die by Jason's hand, just like in the movie.
But what a way to go, right? I mean, if you're going to go.
Twist my neck. Like, he could have twisted me all the way around backwards. But awesome guy. Like, I went up to him. I was like, Kane, you're the guy I came here to meet. And he was like, well, come on, buddy. He's like just joking and cutting up. Super, super cool, nice guy. And so then I actually left. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me talk about Billy D. Williams because Billy D. Williams was there. So Billy D. was late getting back to his table. So I got in line.
Well, he was out there drinking his Colt 45.
So we get in line, and so I go look at the autographs. $60 for an autograph, and I'm like, oh man! I was like, because that's it. I'm tapped out. If I get Billy D's autograph, I'm tapped out.
The Star Wars guys tend to give. I remember although I went to a Star Wars specific convention once, and it was pretty reasonable at that point. But I remember there were a couple that were pretty up there. Like I remember a friend of mine went and he met Mark Hamill one time, and it was $50 for Mark Hamill to sign stuff. And that was, I think that's if you brought something. I think if you ordered something in advance, it was upwards of $100 to get a picture. So the Star Wars guys can get pretty up there.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I think it was actually 65 if you didn't bring something to sign. I think it was like 65 if you got the poster or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I'm a huge Star Wars fan. It's Billy D. Williams. I don't know how much longer he's going to be around. I'm going to do it anyway, right? So I get in line, and I'm like, because it'll be worth it to have a picture, with him and an autograph. Well, then I get like halfway up there, and they're like, yeah, no pictures, just an autograph. Because apparently he had done like some pro photo op earlier in the day that you had to pay for, like if you wanted a picture with him. And I was like, you know what? Screw this. Like I can get 3 autographs for this one. And it's just cool seeing him.
And that tends to happen. Sometimes in Avengers, you got to like look at the fine print. There's some people where you almost have to have you have to book in advance essentially. Like there'll be no line, and it looks like you can walk right up, but no, they have set things that people have prepaid for, and they're getting called up at the times. So it's pretty tricky sometimes. But I told Tim that he should have went up there with just if he stayed there, he should have went up there with the most strange object to be signed just to see if he could get him to go, well, look what we have here. But I don't think as funny as that may have been, it wasn't worth the $65.
Yeah, and I was kind of watching the other people that were getting stuff signed while I was still in line, and there really wasn't like a lot of interaction or anything. He was just kind of like just sitting there signing stuff. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, if I'm not going to get to talk to him and really meet him or engage with him, I'm not going to spend that kind of money. So I ended up not meeting him.
That's like my Peter Mayhew experience where he was not pleased to be at this convention and was.
Yeah, I don't think Billy D was like, I mean, he wasn't being rude or anything. He just wasn't like, I didn't really see him chatting anybody up or anything. He was just kind of there to sign stuff and be gone.
Yeah.
So I didn't do that. But so I left the convention and I got all the way back to the parking lot because we wanted to put some of the stuff back in the car. And Kevin was kind of like, is there anybody you wish you had gotten? And this is obviously in hindsight, I would have got the Creature from the Black Lagoon guy, but I wasn't thinking about it at the time. But I had seen Tom Savini there, and I was like, Kevin, I have to go back and meet Tom Savini. Like I have to. Like, that guy's a freaking legend.
Yeah, as legends go in horror, he's got to be up at the top.
Anytime you talk about special effects, you talk about Rick Baker and you talk about Tom Savini.
Right.
So I was like, I feel like I've got to go back in there and get something signed from him and meet him. So he's like, let's do it, And I still had, a little bit of budget left because I hadn't bought any of the vendor stuff. So, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Because he would give you his autograph and a picture. You could get a signed poster or whatever, and you got your picture with him for the same price. So I was like, I'm just going to go do it. So I got up there, and I was like, Mr. Savini, very excited to meet you. I love all your work. Can I get a poster and an autograph? He's like, sure, that's what I'm here for. So he was sitting there on his cell phone, like, yeah, whatever, dude. What do you think I'm sitting here for on my cell phone? So I ended up picking out one. It's originally really cool poster which I posted on the Instagram. It's kind of like a painting of him and all the effects and characters he had done.
Oh yeah, that was really cool. That picture.
And he signed it. He didn't personalize it actually, but that's okay. It's fine. It's got his signature on it. And then of course we posed for the picture, and which he actually liked on Instagram.
I saw that. He needs to follow us though. If you're listening, Tom, can you give us a follow? If not, I'm gonna talk to you because you're at the Chiller convention I'm going to coming up. So
yeah, but I felt so bad because I was completely like dumbstruck when I like met him, so I didn't really say anything to him. I was just like this dumb guy that came up and was like, autograph, poster, picture, thanks, really enjoy your work. And like I just was completely tongue tied because I'm like, this is a guy I've been following my whole life, Like
yeah, and he's so laid back. Like I remember because I think I'd seen him I don't think I went up to him at that point. He had a really long line at the Chiller convention because this thing is. I know you said this one wasn't that crowded, but the Chiller convention gets to the point where you're packed in there with sardines sardines with a wall of BO around you, and it's like one of those cons. And they always manage to pack the good people in the small room, which just dumbfounds me. Every year I've gone to this thing, and so I'm hoping they do it a little bit better this year. And cause I haven't been in a couple of years, so it's in a new venue from when I used to go. So hopefully it's a better space. And so I didn't really go up to him. I just saw him though. He's laughing, joking around. He looks very laid back. So
Yeah, he was extremely laid back, and there was nobody at his table. Like, the whole time I was there was nobody at his table. Nobody talking to him. He was on his phone half the time because nobody was talking to him. And I was like, oh my God, it's freaking Tom Savini. Like, why is nobody talking to him? And I'm like, flipping out. Maybe it's because he goes to every convention. Everybody's already met him. I don't know.
Let me guess. You were sitting there screaming like Wanda June, "We made you!" You're like, "This is Tom Savini!"
And I even heard one guy that was in line with Billy D. Williams. He's like, holy shit, Tom Savini's here. I didn't even know that. You know, he's like, I went up to him and just said, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, God.
But anyway, so I don't know. I guess I just like, after hearing that, I didn't want to be that guy, like the weird guy. But at the same time, I didn't know what to say. So I just like, I kind of regret that I just was like this completely like, just here's your money. Please give me my autograph so I can leave because you were too enormous for me to talk to.
That'd be funny if I go up to him at the one I do and I say, "Hey, yeah, you met my friend Tim," and he goes, "Oh yeah, the quiet guy, right?"
Yeah, exactly. So Brian, if you do meet him at the Chiller thing, like you've got to make up for my poor
yeah, I'll tell him. I'll say, "Look, you know, he hasn't been in a con in a while. You know, you're one of his icons. You know, we gotta."
You also have to understand, I am extremely introverted. I don't go up to normal, non-famous people and like interact very well. So it's really hard for me to go up cold go up to anybody and like start a conversation, much less somebody that's famous that I've seen on TV. So it's really difficult for me, probably more so than a lot of people.
Well, I tell you what I was a funny story that I witnessed at a con is, you know, you saying, oh, you know, you were embarrassed with that. Probably the most embarrassing thing I've ever had to see at a con is, it was at the Chiller one, and they usually seem to have a couple of themed groups of celebrities, and I guess this one year was they had the Karate Kid people there, and Martin Cove, you know, played Kreese, was there, and my friend and I are standing there, kind of just looking at the table, looking at him, seeing what he had on there, looking around the room, and some guy like stalks through us, almost knocks us over, and just walks up to him, and I apologize for the brief language. He goes, "Martin Cove, you are the shit," and like almost does this like we're not worthy thing to him. The look on his face was priceless. He just had this like, "Okay, sir," and it was just I still remember that to this day. It was hilarious.
Yeah. Speaking of hilarious, I forgot to mention one thing when I was going over the vendors. So we're sitting there, and there was this lady that had there was a vendor wall, and it was all nude and topless photos of some woman like wearing like a leather face mask.
Interesting.
so it'd be like, you know, leather face mask and like naked woman underneath, or Jason mask and naked woman.
What was that company called?
I don't know. So like obviously me and my dad are like sitting there like ogling these things, and you know my dad's going like, "Man, you got to be in some weird shit to hang this stuff up in your house or whatever." And about that time, this lady comes over and she goes, "If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm the model. I modeled for all of these." And,
oh no!
And I'm sitting there going, so I was like, maintain eye contact, Tim, because that's a little bit awkward when you're like staring at this naked chick this entire time, and then she walks up and starts talking to you. Yeah. Hey, if you want to buy any pictures of my nudity, just let me know. I'm right around the corner.
Well, that's the thing at the Chiller. They tend to it doesn't look like this guest list has that, but the older ones when I used to go to, they used to have playmates there, and they'd have people that I forgot the name of the company that it was, but it was one of those softcore parody movie companies, like they had like Lord of the G Strings and Playmate of the Apes. It was like those kind of play on those things, and it was whatever the company was, and they had all the actresses in there, and they were all standing there, and you walk around the table, and you're like, you just look because it's someone sitting at the table. You look to see who it is, and then you look down, and there's pictures of them naked, topless, their movies, and it's like, oh, okay.
It was awkward, but anyway, I just thought that was funny.
I did take a picture with one of them, I'll admit. Back in the day, I was single then, so it was okay, but
Yeah, but anyway, so that was pretty much the con in a nutshell. So I came out of there with Sid Haig, or a really cool Sid Haig autograph, really, really cool Tom Savini autograph that I'm thrilled with, and of course the classic Kane Hodder picture that you've all seen on Instagram. So I was pretty happy. I stayed on budget. And would I go back? Yes, definitely would, but I would probably still couple it with like a Carowinds trip, because I don't think it's worth it to drive 3.5 hours for necessarily. Right. It just wasn't big enough to demand that kind of time investment. But yeah, definitely if it's up there around, I would definitely hit Carowinds while I was up there and make a weekend of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah. I mean, why not, right?
So we had a good time.
Cool. Yeah, and so I guess hopefully you guys like this kind of a show, because obviously we're gonna try and stick to the same format we usually do with a movie, but every once in a while we'll throw you a curve like this anyway, because I mean, like, I'm sure like through the haunt season, like I mentioned, we'll do maybe some haunt centric episodes. And when I'm gonna go, my brother Seth and I, who I want to give a shout out to, because he has been one of the biggest promoters, even more so I think than Tim and myself, of this show. So thanks, bro. I tell you, he's been like, we were at a family wedding and he's telling everyone that came by, he's like, hey, check out my brother's podcast. So Seth's going to actually be on, we're having him on a future episode, actually, when we do the Evil Dead. That's one of his favorites. And so when we do Evil Dead, we'll have another host brother on the show. And so he's going to go with me to the Chiller convention. He's actually been to one in the past with me. So he was actually pretty excited when I told him that was another one. So we're going to go to that one. So we'll report back there. Maybe we'll combo it kind of like we did with Kev, where we'll do the Evil Dead as the movie, and then kind of discuss. He can come on and help discuss our podcast. And he's a pretty good... I say amateur just because it's not his career, bartender. So we may even add, he's already got a mixed drink he's naming for that show in preparation.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we'll have a beer pairing, but we'll also have Seth's drink pairing, which is, he's got some really good concoctions that he makes. Whenever we have family events, he's always got them themed. So it's pretty cool. So I'm really looking forward to that. I told him he was going to tell me he was going to have it made at the wedding for me. I said, no, save it for the show. So we'll have that on, and hopefully in a couple weeks we'll get Seth on there.
And we may hit XCon in Myrtle Beach later on this summer, depending on what guests are down there. That one's not horror themed. It's just kind of more of like a Comic-Con type thing. But I know in the past they've had like people from Walking Dead and stuff like that. So depending on the guest list, which I don't think they've completely fleshed that out yet. That may be another one I get to this year and do a recap of.
Yeah, and I was actually looking. I actually found a site. I'll send you the link, Tim. It's I think it's a Find a Con, and it basically goes through all the horror cons throughout the year, so you can kind of see what areas have them, and if you want to look any up to kind of do some pre-planning, you can use that site for that.
So, even though we didn't go over a movie this week, we're actually going to also do our beer pairing, because I felt bad not doing at least a beer pairing since we didn't give you a film. And the one I picked out was one from Brian's neck of the woods, called, because it's out of New Jersey.
Oh, and I have not heard of this beer, so this is something I'm going to have to hunt down.
Called Boak's, Boaks, Boak's Monster Mash Imperial Stout. And I picked this one kind of as a shout out to my dad, because he kept calling this con the Monster Mash, even though it's called the Mad Monster Party. But I thought it was kind of funny.
You gotta love parents and their misinterpretation of names.
The Boak's Monster Mash Imperial Stout.
I'm gonna actually check that. Check my local beverage barn there. They call it.
Got a decent rating on Beer Advocate as well.
And I'm a big stout person. I love a good stout, so I will definitely look that one up. I'll look at beer menus, see if I can find it anywhere nearby.
So now's the housekeeping part of the show where
we're just ripping off Coaster Radio left and right today.
Why not?
Sorry, Mikey B.
You can find us at our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/civilgorepodcast. Drop us a line on Gmail, because we're always checking our Gmail account. That's civilgorepodcast@gmail.com. If you have any ideas for the show, feedback, hate mail, whatever,
suggestion, whatever,
we'll read it. We may even, if it's funny enough, we'll even read it on the
Yes,
air.
and one of the days I think we have to really start reading some of our Twitter followers who have some of the best names ever.
Speaking of Twitter, you can find us at CivilGorePod. And thanks for all the support on Twitter. We've been getting a ton of followers and stuff on there.
Oh yeah, and some people are actually sending us some stuff, which we apologize. We're just with our schedules. We're going to get to where people have sent us some links to screeners to check out and stuff. And so we're definitely going to check those out because they some of them look really cool. So we were actually talking. We may even do we'll do a special episode on that.
And also, as we've mentioned several times during this episode, we have an Instagram account.
Yes.
So follow Civil Gore. I believe it's Civil Gore Podcast.
Yes. Yeah.
Obviously, we'll post pictures as we come across them. We've already posted the Mad Monster Party pics that we talked about today, and we also posted from the previous episode, the Maximum Overdrive album that Kevin brought in. So.
Yeah, and I have some. I've been bad. I brought a bunch of. Got a couple of horror Blu-rays the past week or so that. And maybe I'll wait until it comes in the mail. I think it's coming tomorrow, and then I'll just take a little. Set up a display of all my Blu-ray releases from the past week or so, and I'll put that on. Put that on Instagram too.
Yeah, one of my projects for this weekend is actually to get all of my horror autographs together, because I actually have, in addition to the ones I got this weekend, I've got Gunnar Hansen, I've got Linda Blair, and I've got Janet Leigh.
Oh, and see, it's funny you said Linda Blair. She was one of the most expensive autographs one time at one of the Chiller conventions. I think she was one of the ones that was close to like $40-$45.
Yeah. Well, I've got a great one of hers. Scare the crap out of you, because it's a picture of her in the full Reagan makeup from the movie. So it's one I can't display because it scares the kids.
Oh.
but the Leatherface, the Gunnar Hansen one is too, because it's a picture of Leatherface. But and the Janet Leigh one, she's in her bra. So it's like these have all been sitting in my closet. I can't display them. But
you need the Tim Man cave.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna try to get them all out and at least get them all together in a group, and like take a good picture of them all, all together, because that's really my whole collection right
now. Yeah, and I should actually do. I've got one of my other obsessions is toy collecting. I got a bunch of cool action figures and some horror props and stuff that I really should get all together in one section and kind of take some pictures of it. So then, so I got a really cool. This thing must be 18 inches tall. This Freddy. I lost the hat to it, unfortunately, but it's one of those motion sensor things. So when you turn it on, and if you walk past it, it'll start talking and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, when we were talking about my dad's Halloween stuff, I forgot to tell you, he's got a life-size Freddy that does that. I could post a picture of that. I've got a picture of that as well.
One of these days I should time a Scarowinds visit again, even though our last one was had a very unusual ending to it. But we'll have to come down and we time it and go to and I'll just crash. Yeah, I hope your dad doesn't mind. Julie and I will just crash his party. So
yeah, no. He absolutely he tells us every year to invite as many friends as we can. So the more the merrier for sure. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, definitely would want to see one of those events.
I've actually got a Dee Wallace autograph as well, but it's a picture of her with E.T. It's not a horror theme,
but that's good for the kids.
Yeah, I think she's gonna be a Chiller.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's actually one of I think pretty much a routine guest there. She's there a lot, and she's super friendly. So I'll probably go up to her and I'll get something, because she's been in so many different fun horror movies, and I should get the popcorn. Try and order popcorn by then. See if she'll sign that. Yeah,
well, she when we went to the convention, we were sitting. I was like starstruck because Dee Wallace was always like felt like my second mom growing up, because she's she's the best mom in E.T. She's the best mom in Cujo, and I always felt like that's like my Hollywood mom, And so we're sitting there at the convention, and she's like over there by herself at the table, and I was just kind of like over there, like kind of glancing at her out of the corner of my eye. And so finally she goes, You can come over here. I'm not going to bite you.
I love that. Tim goes to a con and the celebrities approach him.
Yeah, exactly. And so I went over there and I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, I just, I loved you in E.T. and Cujo, and I felt like you were like my mom. And she was like, oh, honey. And then she was like, she's like, be honest. What's my favorite movie performance? And so I'm like going, oh my gosh. And I said, you know what? If I'm going to be perfectly honest, it's got to be Cujo. Like, I loved you in E.T., but it's got to be Cujo. I mean, you were awesome in that. And she goes, that's my favorite too. So so she asked me if I wanted an autograph. She's like, come on, I'm a cheap date. I was like, okay, I'll get an autograph. And so she wanted me to, so I was trying to pick out which one. She had tons of different ones. And I was like, as much as I loved her in Cujo, I've got to have the E.T. picture, because E.T. is just such a signature movie from my childhood, and that's really where I like know her most from. So she signed it to Tim, phone home dude, D. Wallace. Awesome. So that was really cool. So that's a very treasured picture. I'll post that one on the Instagram.
And you have to you get a chance, look at her IMDb page of horror movies she's been in. Some I've never even heard of, but she's been in some big ones, but then she's been in like just a ton of other ones. It's pretty impressive list.
Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah, definitely was one of my favorite celebrities I met at the PopCon.
Yeah, I have to make sure I make a stop at her table.
Yeah, definitely do so. She's super. Well, we better wrap that up.
So much for our short show. I think this might be one of our longest yet.
I know. Oh, I knew it was going to be. Yeah. But anyway, so we'll be back next week with probably our normal format. Brian, I'm thinking we got to do an anthology.
I think so. I think it's time. We've waited. And we've talked about so many different ones. I wouldn't even know which one to pick. I don't know if we go with something. I mean, it's funny because we've decided we saw our two episodes with the biggest downloads have been The Manitou and Lights Out. So, as Tim said, we can't figure out what you guys like the best. Yeah,
we've been struggling. Like, do we cover more? Do people want more modern movies, or do they like the weird 70s crazy wacky stuff? Or, well, I mean, our least downloaded episode was Eaten Alive.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably the most least watched movie too.
So I guess we got to get more episodes in our belt until we can see some kind of trend forming. But right now, it's all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, part of me wants to do something like one of maybe the more iconic ones, maybe Creepshow, or maybe something like kind of in the middle, maybe like Trick or Treat, or Tales of Halloween.
I mean, Creepshow, you would definitely get the name recognition.
Yeah, you would. There's also VHS. I mean, there's so many.
Dead of Night,
right? Which I still have on my DVR, which I need to watch because we keep scrolling through there, and my wife keeps saying, "What is that?"
Dead Time Stories, which just came out, the Scream Factory release. It's actually on Shudder.
Yeah, it's funny you said that. I was starting to watch it the other day. I had to stop. I got interrupted, but I still have to watch the second half of that because I hadn't seen that in years. So, and then hey, you know what? Don't forget Cat's Eye, because that's a especially as that was filmed in Wilmington, we could go there. This might be. Well, you know what? We're going to put this on you guys. Maybe you guys send us a tweet or an email or Facebook which anthology you think you want us to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be our listener feedback question for this week. Again, to Still from Coaster Radio. What anthology do you want us to cover next week? We're going to post it out on Twitter, and we want some responses.
Hey, you know what? We're Patreon subscribers. I think we should be able to borrow some things from Mike and EB every now and then. Yeah.
Hey, we're giving them free advertising.
We are, like 10 times today. Yeah. So if you guys haven't noticed yet, listen to Coaster Radio as well.
Ding. I've got it, and what's sad is I've got an actual ding. I'm just too lazy to edit.
Yeah, and I noticed our first chop sound effect kind of dropped off in first episode too. We're getting very archaic.
There's limits to the amount of energy I want to expend.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, we don't want to interrupt from Tim's dulcet tones.
All right, well, we're going to call it a night.
Yes.
All right, see you guys.
Take it easy.